In case you guys do not know, exactly 1 year ago today, I uploaded my very first video on this channel. Exactly 5 days after I made the channel itself. So, my first two numbers of my channel's birthday is 420. Nice. Anyway, I made this list, uploaded it a year ago. You know, not thinking much of it, not thinking that it would get 32,000 views 1 year later, but still. This list is super outdated, guys. It is, yeah, very outdated. Have no idea why I put some of the placements where they are. Almost every single game has changed on this list. So, yeah, let's get into it. Today, in this video, one more time, for the last time most likely, I'll be ranking every single Skylanders game. Okay, coming in at number 6 is Superchargers. Now, remember, I don't dislike any of these games. I dislike some more than others, but Superchargers is pretty far behind compared to all the other games in my opinion. I really don't know why I gave it 4th place last year. The forced vehicle sections alone is awful in this game in my opinion. Every vehicle section feels too soon and takes all the fun I am having out of the level I'm playing. The Skylanders that came with this game, I'm also not a fan of. I really don't like any of the brought back Skylanders. And I think the only two that are better than the original ones are Go-Grunt and Jetpack. Overall, I think it has the worst roster out of any game. Sad thing is, the story of this game is really good actually, but the gameplay just holds this game behind so much. Basically, all the post-game content is just racing, which I'm not a fan of racing games. There are daily challenges, but come on, those are basically just like playing the levels over again. The gimmick also is not special at all. It's no 3000 IQ idea, very simple. Skylanders is known for its imaginative gimmicks, and then you just have kind of Superchargers in the middle, which is just kind of weird. The Chaos boss fight is the worst out of the entire series by far, and the Darkness boss battle is so disappointing because it's in a vehicle. There are only 13 levels in total, and yeah. Now, it's not all bad. The level design and graphics overall are great, but the great things in this game get overshadowed by the forced vehicle sections, and that is why Superchargers moved 2 games down from my original list and is now my least favorite Skylanders game. Number 5 goes to Swap Force, yep, and moved 2 games down as well. Now let me get through the good things first, because there's a lot of good. The gimmick is so inspired, like, I don't know how they came up with that. The graphics are beautiful, and the post-game content is probably some of the best we have seen in this series, along with a pretty strong roster as well. But this was the first game in the Skylanders series where a lot of the problems in the later games began. This game had really only 12 base game levels. They try to pass off boss battles as levels, but I'm not falling for that. So, with 2 expansion packs, that makes it 14 levels long. So the second least amount of levels ever, and the least, amount of levels ever out of any Skylanders game when it came out. All the good characters besides Flynn also got replaced in this game. At least Sharpfin is a good character, and Tess is fine, but we all know that she was there to fill Callie's role, and I do think she's a better NPC, but I still don't know why they made her there instead of making Callie a better NPC. They just replaced all the old characters, Hugo, Callie, Oric was even not there, all the characters that we know and love, and replace them with Fox people, which I'm not a big fan of. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. This is why, in my opinion, it makes Swap Force feel very distant and very different from all the other Skylanders games. If that's a good thing or bad thing, that comes down to you. But for me, that's a bad thing. The levels are way too long. We all know this. These levels can take hours to finish. That's insane. Insanely long levels I'm not a fan of. And they repeat the levels too. So you're gonna be in the same area for like 4 levels. That's like 4 hours in the same area, which makes it just feel so much slower. The game makes it just feel way slower. Again, I don't hate this game. There's a lot of good, but there also is some bad, which is why it gets 5th place in my opinion. 4th place goes to SSA, the first ever Skylanders game. This game was way ahead of its time in my opinion, and the game has the second best roster and definitely a great cast of NPCs. Probably the best cast of NPCs, a lot of memorable characters in my opinion. The story is good and the gameplay is great. There are levels, they're just the right amount of time. They know when the level should be shorter and they know when a level should be longer. My biggest problem with this game is that the levels repeat. And it's way more abundant in this game than in Swap Force. Basically every single level is repeated and the same style for 3 to 4 levels. Treetop Terrace and Falling Forest are literally the same level, I don't care what you say. And as a whole, the game just feels slower compared to the new games and more bland because Toys to Life was the gimmick of this game. This game really doesn't do a whole lot wrong, but it doesn't do a whole lot of things that are really great in my opinion. But because it doesn't do that much wrong, I can't put it at the bottom of this list. And it does some good things. Like I said, level design is great. and a great cast of characters and a great roster. But because of the repetitive levels, and there are really no boss battles either, just evil versions of your Skylanders, overall the game is a good game and a great introduction to the series as a whole. That's why it gets 4th place. 3rd place is Giants. Yeah, Giants moved up a lot in my first video. In my first video, it was my least favorite game. Now it gets 3rd place. Nice job, Giants. Well, I played it again, and I gained a whole lot of respect for this game. Levels do not repeat in Giants, and the Giants are a fun addition themselves. Even though it is sad that the Giants are basically pointless besides the feat of strengths, they're still awesome. Each level is different, which I'm a fan of, so it doesn't get boring. Now, the graphics are basically the same as SSA. I think they literally are the same graphics, and it does feel a lot like SSA, but a better version. The levels for the most part are better. The bosses are better. The Chaos boss fight is better. Basically, I think a lot of stuff that SSA did, Giants did again, but a bit better. So Giants just took what SSA put on the table and improved on all fronts. Now, it is disappointing that there's 10 less levels than SSA. SSA had 26 chapters, while Giants had 16. There is a lot less content in this game. There are only 16 new Skylanders instead of 32, and that's the big thing about this game. There is less content overall, but the content that it gives you, in my opinion, is more fun than the previous. Out of this whole list, Giants and Spirals of Adventure are probably the closest to each other, so maybe one day SSA could beat out Giants. But for right now, and probably for the foreseeable future, Giants has the edge in my opinion, and it gets 3rd place. Now, the next 2 games always were the top 2, and they'll always be the top 2. Trap Team gets 2nd place. There's so much to like about this game. My biggest problem with this game isn't even with the game itself, it's about how many Skylanders you need to get this game completed. The levels all are different and pretty inspired for the most part. The Trap Masters are very awesome, at least the ones I have, and it seems from what the community says, the cores are really, really good. Sadly, they do get overshadowed because you can only open elemental games with Trap Masters, which is a last-minute decision from what I heard, which I don't know why they did that. But let's get into the abundance of good things in this game. The gimmick, one of the best. Being able to play as a villain is such a cool idea, and even though there are a lot of nothing villains like Buzzardbeak, the Doom Raiders are all good, besides Dreamcatcher. She sucks. There are a good amount of non-Doom Raider villains as well. It's the 2nd longest game at 24 chapters in total and 18 chapters in the base game, and it goes back to 32 new Skylanders. And this game is just fun to play. That fun factor is here in this game. It's so good. It's so good. I love this game. And with everything I've said before, this game should be number 1, but there's one thing. It's not Imaginators. I know everything I have said, Trap Team should be 1st place. Imaginators does not have the most inspired levels, only 10 base game chapters, 15 in total. The story is nothing special, the NPCs are just meh, but that fun factor I mentioned is here, and it's the most abundant out of any game. This has my favorite roster. Being able to create your own Skylander alone pushes it over all the other games. I'm sorry, but that is just so awesome. Being able to create your own Skylander. I said the levels are not inspired, some of them are, but I just love going through these levels either way. The character creator is no joke one of the best character creators I have ever seen in any game, and you can really create any Skylander you want. This is my favorite game. I can tell you, I was so happy when I finally put Champion Mage on my Skylander shelf where I keep all my Skylanders, finally putting them there and completing my Imaginators collection felt so surreal. Overall, while fundamentally this should not be my favorite game, it does end up being my favorite game, and like I said in my first video, it's not even close. This game, by far, is my favorite Skylanders game. You can roast me in the comments if you want, but I don't care. Anyway guys, hope you guys have enjoyed this video about me talking about my Skylanders ranking. That old video needed to be addressed, it needed to be fixed, and this is the remastered version of it. I think this list overall is here to stay. I don't see this list changing that much since I have played every single Skylanders game, so I think for the foreseeable future, unless we get a new Skylanders game, this is my list. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for officially 1 year of Skylander Gamer TV. It's been a great year. Thank you guys.